This is a presentation about energy systems and fossil fuels. So what are fossil fuels, and what do they have to do with increasing gas prices? Fossil fuels are created by progressive depletion of oxygen and organic materials. However, the formation process takes hundreds of millions of years. Since naturally occurring fossil fuel formation takes millennia, we can assume that no significant reserves of naturally occurring fossil fuels will be created until readily available reserves are depleted. Being finite resources, obtainability of these fuels will slowly diminish over time, making alternative fuels more competitive. There are three main types of fossilized fuels that we harvest: coal, oil, and natural gas. Coal and gas can be converted directly to energy when oil is refined into more usable products such as plastics and gasoline. So what about the recent increase in gas prices? Should we be concerned that gas prices have increased by 8.6% over the last 3 weeks? There has been an economic theory on the declining availability of oil. Developed by Marion King Hubbard, the Hubbard's peak theory proposed that at some point in the future, the production of oil would reach its apex and begin to decline. The graph of global oil production up to the year 2008 could have indicated that the peak oil happened in 1970, but more recent data shows an upward trend in production. The main reasons why fossilized fuel production has not declined is the development of new technologies. Although the basic principles of fossil fuel recovery have not significantly changed in the last century, new methods for increasing extraction efficiency are making it easier for miners to extract more oil from more difficult areas. However, assuming that only the current known reserves are exploited, natural gas and oil have only a lifetime of no more than 55 years, with coal having a lifetime of no more than 115 years. In response to these projections, there has been a rapid increase in investment into alternative sources of energy. In 2015, $258 billion were invested into renewable energy, which is more than 6 times more than in 2004. In 2016, the most money was invested into wind at $114 billion and solar at $112 billion. With other sources of energy such as biomass, biofuels, small hydropower, geothermal, and marine energy comprising less than 7% of all investment. Unfortunately, less than 6% of the 153 terawatt-hours used globally is derived from alternative sources of energy. Canada's allocation of fuels for electricity generation has shifted from mostly using coal, which is used to power 55% of all electricity in 1942, to only 10%. Canada has replaced the majority of coal-derived electricity with oil and natural gas-powered electricity. In terms of energy security, Canada is a net exporter of fossil fuels, exporting an astounding 4.2 million barrels of oil per day. The Canadian oil sands alone have 163 billion barrels of recoverable oil. So does that make Canada energy secure? The recent hike in gas prices only has to do with Canada's ability to refine the oil into usable products such as gasoline. Canadian refineries have not been meeting all of Canada's gasoline demands. Rather, the refineries are shifting towards energy efficiency and reducing their environmental impact due to new regulations. In 2016, 59% of all energy in the transportation sector was from motor gasoline, which is almost 15 exajoules. Thus, it's of no surprise that Canada's economy is at risk due to refinery underperformance, considering that transportation is 4.5% of the national GDP. Thus, Canada is not vulnerable due to fossil fuel depletion, but due to refiner capacity. In fact, Canada will be one of the countries profiting from the global decline in fossil fuel reserves as countries become more dependent on energy exporters. Fortunately, the gradual increase in gas prices are an indicator that Canada is moving towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For the transportation industry, increasing gas prices will give incentive to make use of energy-efficient vehicles, as well as vehicles that work using renewable energy, such as electricity. Global energy intensities are decreasing by about 3.5% per year, and global fertility is on the decline. However, emerging markets with highest fertility are also the ones most susceptible to fossil fuel depletion due to the lack of energy source diversification. Overall, the low-income countries are at most risk of fossil fuel decline due to increased populations and energy intensity, as well as the lack of diversification of energy sources. Preparing for a future with scarce fossil fuels means developing alternate fuels of energy and keeping a steady population with lower energy intensity.